We should give like a trigger warning to people that can't stand Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
I haven't watched this yet, but I could already
have
tell
not
by
either.
the caption that I'm going to not enjoy it.
The synopsis made me irate, so listening to it is gonna send me over the edge. So I'm preparing myself mentally.
Oh, there you go.
I have had many conversations, as you have had, with a lot of young people over the last many months.
No,
now.
she has not.
And you're right. They don't know very much at all about the history of the Middle
Hillary,
East.
shut
frankly,
up.
About history in many areas of the world, including
Hillary,
in our own
stop.
country.
You're so unserious.
To the Middle East. They don't know that under the bringing together of the Israelis and the Palestinians by my husband, the then Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, the then head of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, then the Palestinian Authority, Yasser Arafat. An offer was made to the Palestinians for a state on 96% of the existing territory occupied by the Palestinians, with 4% of Israel to be given to reach 100% of the amount of territory that was hoped for. And this offer was made, and if Yasser Arafat had accepted it, there would have been a Palestinian state now for about 24 years.
So now we must murder 30,000 civilians.
Right, right.
Like,
Yeah, Yasser Arafat didn't accept the offer 24 years ago. So about the Palestinians now, fuck them. I mean, that's really what she's saying. Like who?
Right.
Like first of all, the idea that
batting kids are stupid.
That's first of all, that's not even like the correct sort of summary of what went down. But let's even put that aside. Let's even just say that she is absolutely correct. This deal was on the table. It was a fantastic deal. The best deal they've ever seen. It was a wonderful deal. And the Palestinians,
tremendous,
who were in charge at the time, Yasser Arafat, did not accept the deal 24 years ago. How is that relevant to how kids perceive, how the youth today perceive the situation that's going on over there? Like, half the people in Gaza weren't even born. When that deal, that great, fantastic deal, the best deal they've ever seen, was even on the table. Like, what does that have to do with how people are viewing what's happening right now and how they're reacting to it, how they're protesting against it? It's such bullshit. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. And the fact that like these people go on TV and never gets any pushback on top of that, like people just sit there and nod their heads. They're paid millions of dollars to go on TV and just nod their head. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, has she not learned that the strategy of being condescending does nothing? Like, consistently talking shit about younger voters and being like, oh, they're just simply not educated enough to understand the problem or the complexities of it. Not like me. Yes. How's Libya doing, by the way? I definitely know geopolitics very well. I'd say whatever she believes, believe the opposite.
They never even they never even think things through here and like what it like how that this would be relevant for like other issues throughout history. Like I don't know, like what if like the deal was put on the table, 3/5 compromise, for example, should have taken it. And if they didn't, can't get angry about slavery anymore. There was a deal on the table and they didn't take it. And now 20 years later, we got to it is what it is. Should have taken the deal. You could use this for any single issue throughout history. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And
same thing applying to protest. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. No, I was going to say she's been wrong about every single issue. She was wrong about the Iraq War. She was wrong about Libya. She, as Secretary of State under the Obama administration, was basically the one that pushed that, right? So she has the audacity to say, oh, well, you're all uninformed. Motherfucker, have you ever learned from a single foreign policy mistake in your entire life? You've made multiple, and you're still saying the same thing. You're still pushing the same neoconservative line, and it's just insufferable. And I always envision, whenever Biden is doing really bad, or there's a new poll that comes out showing he's suffering with regard to young people, they're like, okay, we have to send out Hillary to tell them to go fuck themselves because that's going to help. They hit the Hillary button and they send her out because, they've got to scold us. to get back in line. That's gonna work.
She's put on television to make boomers feel better. That's why she's there. Like there's no other there's no other reason to bring her on television except to make the Morning Joe audience, which it does not skew young, to make them feel good about themselves.
The average age of the Morning Joe audience is I think is their biggest fans' age. Joe Biden. I mean, he watches it every
median
morning.
Age, actually.
No, I don't know if that's the median.
It is old. I don't know what it is though.
But it's clear that it's for that audience. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
there's a reason why
it's the only show. It's the only show really like that on MSNBC, and you got to assume it's because that show brings in a very specific demographic that I guess makes that hour on MSNBC specifically a revenue driver. I'm assuming that's my guess, because the rest of the MSNBC lineup, I'm not saying they're super leftist or even generally like progressive, but it's probably doesn't bring a demographic that brings in the big bucks. It's not exactly your Wall Street audience. You're like that's not real. But I think Morning Joe probably brings those people.
That audience is up at 5, and most of them are in bed by 8 p.m. when Chris Hayes comes on. So that's why they don't really get to see any different perspective.
No, that's exactly it. Morning Joe is on so fucking early in the morning.
Yeah. What's sad is that Morning Joe back in 2016 wasn't the worst MSNBC show. They were the only ones that were actually giving Bernie Sanders a little bit of a fair shake. They were showing how many people were showing up to his rallies.
They were so back. No,
comparatively speaking, you know what I mean?
There were moments. There were segments, yes, for sure. But there were also segments where they were just straight up bullshitting their way about him and what he stood for. Like they were very back. Like same with Trump. Like there were segments about Trump where they were like praising him, and then other ones where they were criticizing him.
They were his biggest boosters. They were his biggest boosters. I remember in 2015 and early 2016, that's when I was watching literally. I was working at Cafe at the time, and my job was to pump out daily video type stuff, and the stuff that got the most views was Trump's zany antics and everything. And so I would see day in, day out, every minute of what Trump was doing. And there is no show that gave him more airtime in those early days and promoted him, not just even like air. We could argue whether, good or bad airtime is still giving him airtime, fine. But there was no show that boosted him more, that promoted him more than Morning Joe in those early days. They fawned over him. They loved it. They relished in having that relationship with him.
I will say, I think from their perspective, at least the Democrats on there, like they thought, hey, if we boost this dipshit, he's definitely going to lose to Hillary Clinton, because he's the guy that will for sure lose. Like maybe, some other Republican may win, but Trump will definitely lose. So I think they were perfectly fine with boosting Trump at the beginning because they thought it was going to hurt the GOP, and it ended up having the opposite effect, where he was galvanized and found this audience of voters that didn't normally vote who came out to vote for him.
Yeah.
I don't think Morning Joe was thinking that way. I think they truly thought they were going to get like the businessman president, and they wanted that. They wanted
I think it
the
depends.
businessman president.
I don't think Mika Brzezinski was ever really loved Trump. Like Joe Scarborough, he was a Republican. I guess he's Democrat now. I don't know what the fuck he is. But no,
I mean Mika Brzezinski is the same person who just a couple of weeks ago sat next to the NYPD as they held up a bike chain, and the guy said, the cop
I'm not
said,
calling her progressive.
You don't see this on a college campus, and she goes, no, you don't.
No, but I'm just saying this was the common sentiment among Democrats, was that, hey, we should boost Trump because he's a terrible candidate. No one's going to vote for him, so we should boost.
Strategy.
Yeah, this is what they did back in 2016. They purposely boosted him because they thought that he was the worst candidate and that he would get no votes. And yeah, completely backfired.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No, I remember that. I remember the whole what was it, the Pied Piper strategy, right? That's what they called it.
Pied Piper.
Yeah, it was. They're so out of touch. They're so dumb, and then they go on TV and tell everybody else how they're dumb, as they are literally neck and neck with the fucking dumbest president we've ever had. I mean, give me a break.